Hey everyone, it's Types, and today I have a really cool video for you all today. This is unsurprisingly talking about the upcoming expansion, Phantasmal Flames. Phantasmal Flames is the second expansion in the Mega Evolution era, which of course started with the first set being Mega Evolution, featuring the Mega Evolutions. Again, the naming is kind of weird, but luckily I don't know if this is good, but I think it's cool. This set's focusing less on megas. We do have some interesting mega cards, but we have a lot of other really interesting cards in this set as well. So today I'm going over the top 10 best cards, and I actually have a bunch of honorable mentions as well. Normally I try not to have too many because, well, it is cool to have them. I want to spend enough time talking about the powerful cards, but there's some really interesting cases. Again, I am looking on Pokemon Proxies. This is a website which has English versions of the cards. These are not final translations or anything like that, but they are useful for being able to actually read the cards here. But let's just hop right in. I have 5 honorable mentions, and you'll kind of see why they're honorable mentions pretty quickly here. The first card here is going to be Sterilege, a Stage 1. Also, this set is obviously Phantasmal Flames. It's being made up of Inferno X in Japan, as well as 2 small decks featuring Mega Gengar EX and Mega Diancie EX, which are actually playable in live right now. The decks, but not the whole set here. And so the first card here is Ceruledge. Ceruledge here has, obviously, it's a stage 1 Volsman Charcadet, and for 1 fire, it does 220 if you discard 4 basic fire energy cards from your hand. Otherwise, it doesn't do anything. And this card is decent within Ceruledge EX as a pretty powerful single prize attacking option if you're able to actually, get it working there. Then we have the next card, Archaludon here. This is another Stage 1 single prizer, and this has the coded attack for 3 metal, 120, and then during your opponent's next turn. This Pokemon can't be damaged by attacks from your opponent's basic Pokemon. Obviously really useful against a big basic deck there, like Raging Bolt, Mega Absol, or any of those other decks playing Mega Kangaskhan EX, Archaludon will be pretty useful there. It's not like an auto win, but it is pretty strong there. It's not, again, an auto win, but it is like, it's kind of like an auto win, right? There's not that much they can do about it there. Then you have Mega Charizard X EX here. This is the first Mega on the list here. There's only, I believe, 6 in the set. Also, the set is pretty small. I didn't say that yet, but this set is very small. I actually made a video on it, and while it is small, it has some pretty cool cards in it. Mega Charizard X is the main Pokemon, I guess, that's been highlighted. It was highlighted at the World Championships. Ultimately, it's not super strong for 2 fire. You just get any amount of fire energy from your Pokemon. It does 90 damage for each card discarded in this way, so it can be decently strong. Obviously, it gives up 3 prizes, which isn't so good, but it's definitely a nice little option within Charizard EX. Out of the first 3 Pokemon I've covered here that are honorable mentions, this one is the most likely to be its own deck. Additionally, for this video, it's not just rating how strong these cards will be in top meta decks as soon as they come into the format. Notably, rotation will happen with the next expansion after Phantasmal Flames, or maybe next main expansion. There might be a mini one in between, but these cards will mostly be played post-rotation. When I say mostly, like almost entirely played post-rotation, and in terms of how they'll be remembered, probably not being remembered very much for being played pre-rotation either. Obviously, we need to talk about it because it's how they're being put into the game as soon as they're printed, but I'm definitely keeping that in my mind and kind of judging them not too much in context, but these ones are definitely being judged in context here as they're good within the respective decks they go into. Obviously, Charizard and Charizard, Archaludon, and Ceruledge and Ceruledge, though Mega Charizard XTX can be paired with the Oricorio EX, which has some cool things it can do. It accelerates fire energies, but ultimately, I don't think either of those cards are amazing outside of Charizard EX, but did want to mention them here just as these pieces within another deck, like mostly a one of. Then we have the next card here, Mega Sharpedo EX. Honestly, Mega Sharpedo EX as a deck is decent, but I think Mega Sharpedo EX itself is kind of meh. We actually are getting 3 Darkness Megas. Well, we're getting 2. We have 1 right now with Mega Absol EX. Then we're getting Mega Sharpedo EX and Mega Gengar EX, which are both cool cards here. Mega Sharpedo EX is a decent Pokemon here. For 1 Darkness, you do 70, draw 2. For 2 Darkness, you do 120, but if you have any damage counters on this Pokemon, then you do 150 more. So pretty decent damage. It's not literally perfect, but it's pretty decent. Obviously, again, you're a 3 prizer here, but overall, Mega Sharpedo EX is a decent attacking option. We'll talk a bit more about Darkness in throughout the course of the video. This set mostly highlights Fire and Darkness, I guess, but the Darkness stuff is really cool. There's also some good Psychic stuff. With Fire, I guess I'll mention the supporter card Fire Breather, I think is the name of it. It's okay. It's not actually even an honorable mention. It's okay in Goldango. I've actually talked about it a lot in the past. Tell me down below in the comment section if you want to hear more about it, either just in a comment for me to respond there, or I might make a video on it in the future, but it's okay. But ultimately, Fire Breather is not amazing. Like, the fire breather within a true fire deck is kind of meh. That's like a really niche or really specific use case, but regardless, it is okay. I wanted to mention it here. Then the last honorable mention here is actually going to be Ambipom. I really like Ambipom. I think Ambipom is a really fun card. Ultimately, it doesn't seem like essentially any play in Japan. That's definitely something I was taking into account when preparing this top 10 list. I want to make it accurate to the extent that I can. Obviously, there's a lot of subjectivity in here, but this card just hasn't seen any play in terms of success in Japan. Looking at Limitless TCG, if I click on it here, we can see that a card like, say, Mega Charizard X EX has a good chunk of play here. Or Choreo EX, which I mentioned earlier, has also, I guess, a good chunk of play there. But then you look at Ambipom. Ambipom has seen no play looking here. Not that literally no one's played it, but in here, no one has. And so Ambipom is interesting, though, because for 3 colors on a stage 1 here, you discard 2 energy from this Pokemon. It does 60 to 2-year points Pokemon. We've seen a card really similar to this in the what is it called? It's Dugong. There we go. Dugong from, oh, that's in Japanese. Dugong from Unbroken Bonds here, which it has the same attack here. Yeah, it's exactly the same. The damage numbers that you were looking to hit were, I guess, a little lower at the time that Dugong was in Standard, but it's still cool. And Dugong is paired with triple acceleration energy, which is 3 colors energy on an evolution, then gets this card at the same at the end of the turn, which is the same as ignition energy there. So pretty much you can do this idea with the Ambipom and Ignition Energy, which is decent, I think. I like it. I'm not in love with it, but I think it's a cool little combo to allow you to hit your opponent's bench Pokemon in a decent manner, kind of like a budget version of Dragapult or Wellspring Mask or Pontiacs. I don't know. It's certainly not at that level, but I think there is something there. I do like it. I don't love it, but I kind of like it. I think it's a card that's a bit underrated and pretty fun here. Moving into the actual list, though, we have a few single prizers that are actually kind of similar at the bottom of this list. Number 10, we got Moltres for 1 fire for if you hit an EX, you do 110. Otherwise, you just do 20. 110 for 1 is obviously good, though it's obviously not taking knockouts unless you hit weakness, which you can. We've seen a lot of cards like this that can't hit weakness, but this one can, which is nice, allowing you to one-shot TLMS Ogre Pontiacs or, I don't know, TLMS Ogre Pontiacs. I'm trying to think of anything else, and I don't really think there's anything else that you're one-shotting. I'm going to take a quick look at the metagame, and coming up short on Goldango. Obviously, you're not one-shotting anything without weakness. You, I guess, can one-shot Badoo. That seems like something. Don't really know what to say about that. But TLMS Ogre Pontiacs is a decent chunk of play. And it's not like horrendous not taking one shots. It's still a decent option. It's seen a lot of play within, I believe, mostly Charizard EX decks as a single price attack option, kind of like what you see with Chi-Yu, though. This is 1 energy, which is better, but it's a little weaker in most situations. Specifically, it doesn't one-shot Goldango EX, but overall, I think Moltres is a decent card, and it's seen a good chunk of play. You could play it in, like, Dragapult. There's honestly a bunch of different decks that can go in, and it's a really decent option, but it's not super powerful. On the other hand, the next single prizer here is Seviper. Is able to do 240 if you have a Darkness Mega Pokemon EX in play. And yeah, you could actually increase this damage done to like a technical machine as well, which is like super niche, but you could do that. If you don't have a Darkness Mega in play, you do 120. There's a way to pay this, which again we'll get to later on in the video, but I like Seviper as a Darkness option. I think it's a bit better than actually Mega Sharpedo EX. I wouldn't build it as a build around. I mean, you need a Darkness Mega in play. It could be a basic like Mega Absol, though. I really do like Seviper within Darkness Box, or whatever. The deck we're going to get to later with it's Tox Twisty. I'm just going to say that now. It's not that far into the video anyways, but Seviper is it's definitely a decent card here. You could definitely say Moltres is better, but I think they're like a kind of similar concept here. Seviper potentially a card doing a bit more heavy lifting in the decks that's being played in, just doing quite a bit of damage, potentially one-shotting a wide variety of 2 prizers, specifically basics there. Then we have the next card here. This is not a two prizer or a one prizer. It's a three prizer here. The, I believe, no, second to last one on the list here, and it's Mega Dancy EX. Again, there aren't too many three prizers, but this one's definitely decent. You could argue it higher on the list. For two psychic, you just grab up to two energy from this Pokemon, which is probably the two psychic. And it does 120 for each card, for each, yeah, energy is card in this way actually, so it doesn't need to be card, assuming the translation's correct here. Also, you have 270 HP, which is high for a basic, but for a mega, it's like a little low, but you take 30 less damage from attacks. Ultimately, you're moderately tanky here, and Mega Dancy EX has specifically seen play within Gardevoir EX. I don't know if I entirely think it's actually going to be super good. I mean, we've seen Gardevoir EX being played with like Mega Gardevoir EX and the Angelicent EX and a wide variety of different things where they're definitely decent, but they're not amazing. And I feel like Mega Dance EX is going to slot into that same category. There's another way to get energy on it as well, which is decent post rotation, but ultimately, this card, I mean, I think it's going to see a bunch of play. I don't think it's going to be a super amazing card. I mean, obviously the best card within Gardevoir EX is Gardevoir EX. I mean, you could maybe argue for like some trainer or something, but Gardevoir EX is very powerful. Mega Dancy can work decently well with it as just a decently powerful basic option, which obviously the Mega Gardevoir EX isn't. It's a stage 2 there. So Mega Dancy EX, I do like. I don't think it's going to be amazing. Based on plays, it would be a bit higher here, but I still think it's a pretty good card here. Then we have, oh, I guess I didn't mention it. It can be like a turbo card in some other situations as well. But then we have Jumbo Ice, or Jumbo Ice Cream, the item here, which says heal 80 from your active if it has 3 or more energy cards attached to it, or energy, not cards necessarily. And this is useful for healing up a lot of the tanky walling Pokemon like Crustle or Iron Thorns EX or Iron, no, not Iron, Cornerstone Mass Ogerpon EX or Milotic EX or whatever. Most of them are 3 energy. Milotic is. Mimikyu is not. But for the most part, this is going to be healing those decently well. They want to be healing. It's just pretty efficient healing. It's a really boring card, I'm not going to lie, except for the art. The art's really funny, in my opinion. But ultimately, this card is a good healing card. It's not, maybe it's not absurd. It's not like Turos, which heals all the damage. But it's still a pretty good card, one I do expect to see some level of play. Not a ton, but the dex is good, and it's going to be pretty good in. And those decks are... I don't know if I'd say it's super plentiful, but they definitely exist within the game, and I imagine will continue existing in the game for probably the whole time that this deck is going to be, or this card's going to be good. Maybe not in the same form. Maybe we'll see a deck that's not like this true walling deck, but I do think Jumbo Ice Cream is a pretty decent, though ultimately pretty plain vanilla here. Yeah, that pun was pretty bad, wasn't it? But then we have the next card here. I've been talking about it a little. It's actually kind of low on the list here. It's, I believe, number 6. But it's Toxtricity. Toxtricity is probably one of my favorite cards in the set, and from here on out, they're going to get pretty good. Toxtricity is a stage 1 with the ability Bad Upper, which says once during your turn, you may search your deck for 1 basic Darkness Energy and attach it to one of your bench Darkness Pokemon. If you do, put 2 damage guys on that Pokemon. And this is good, obviously, because I mean, it's energy acceleration. It's from the deck. We've seen cards like this. We've seen cards that get it from the discard. This does damage you, which is like kind of bad. It can be good in some situations, but mostly bad here. It also does not accelerate to any type, only darkness type, which means you can't accelerate to Monkey Door, which actually would have been pretty good. But I played this card a little bit in live. As I said, it's out in live now, and it's all right. I played against it. I've heard other people playing and talking about it, and I think it's pretty decent within darkness. Definitely, the card that's the biggest buff to darkness, honestly almost changing the type with really really decent energy acceleration. It is to the bench, but that's not that bad. You have Peck Run EX and plenty of ways to switch, and overall it's just a really cool card in my opinion for consistent energy acceleration throughout the course of the game. It's not a one-time thing. It's really nice. We don't really have that much like it in the game. We have electric with lightning, which is okay, but I feel like the darkness Pokemon are going to be slightly better partners as well. Darkness is, arguably the best type in the game. I mean, I wouldn't say it's actually arguable. I think it's definitely psychic, but darkness is very, very good as well here. Then we have the next card here, which is another energy acceleration option, which is Wonder Patch, an item that lets you attach a basic psychic energy from your discard pile to one of your bench psychic Pokemon. This is a bit more aggressive. It's like Dark Patch, Metal Saucer, Aqua Patch, which we've seen in the past. And yeah, I mean, it accelerates energy of a certain type to Pokemon of that same type, but it's an item you can play a bunch of this pretty early on. It could be really powerful and explosive. Specifically with Mega Nancy EX, I think is the biggest place to play it. It's actually seen play in a good chunk of play in Alakazam, where it's like all right in that deck. Overall, I don't think it has a great place in the game right now. I mean, let's be honest, Alakazam isn't that good. It's fun, it's really cool, but it's not super powerful. There's some other things you can do with it. I think it's a pretty decent card universally, specifically with Lily's Clefairy EX, maybe even something like Iron Valiant EX. Pretty much just any basic Pokemon that needs Psychic Energy. I guess even basic Pokemon that need Psychic Energy that aren't even Psychic type, like Mega Latias EX here, because you can move the energy to it, but it's a decent card here. We've seen a lot of cards like this. They've always been good. I don't think it's going to be any different for Wonder Patch. I do think Wonder Patch, when it comes out, won't be amazing, though I think it'll be okay, seeing play here and there. But once Gardevoir EX rotates, I think this card's going to be super good, see a ton of play. And overall, I'm just really excited to have it back in the game. I don't know if back's the right term, but we haven't seen a card like this in a little while. I mean, Dark Patch rotate out. Honestly, I don't know how long ago it was, but I'm definitely excited to have this card back in the game. It's just some fun turbo strategies. Then we have the last Mega here, which is Mega Lopunny EX, which I think is definitely the best Mega here. It's a stage 1 through 30 HP, and for one colorless, you do 230 if you switch from the bench to the active, which is pretty easy to do here, and very efficient there. Then Spike Hopper for 2 colorless, you do 160, and hit through effects on Pokemon, which is like fine, I guess. But mostly Galthrust here is going to be a really nice attack. Mega Lopunny EX. It's seen a lot of play in Japan. Let me find it here. Here it is. And yeah, it's seen a bunch of play in a bunch of different decks. We see it in like Gardevoir, or no, we see it in Goldengo. We see it in Charizard. We see it kind of as the basis of its own deck as well, kind of, sort of. The most part, this card isn't absurdly good, but it's really efficient. It's something I really like. Honestly, I did this before with the last set, Mega Camera Up DX. The difference is this card's being played in Japan, Mega Camera Up DX isn't. And this is way easier to get going. It's way more or a little more efficient there, but mostly much easier to get going and very techable in a wide variety of different decks. Overall, it's just a really decent card here. Then we have the top 3 cards. These are all trainers, and they're all very good. They're not absurd, I wouldn't say, about any of them. Battle Coliseum is one of the best cards in this set. Honestly, Battle Coliseum, I don't actually think is that good, but I mean, it is good here because it lets you be protected from damage counters being placed on your bench Pokemon by your opponent's attacks or abilities. This would be something like Dusknoir, Munkidori, or especially Dragapult EX. This card's seeing a ton of play in Japan. I'd say this is one of those cards which is going to see a lot of play, and already is seeing a lot of play in Japan, but isn't actually as good as the amount of play it sees because it's it's a tech card useful only in certain matchups. Not that it's bad, but we see cards like Shaman, Psyduck, yeah, mainly those two. You could also maybe check in something like Badoo or Munkidori, though I'd say those are a little more universal there. But this is only useful in a relatively small handful of matchups. Obviously, mostly looking at Dragapult EX there. That could be also useful against a few other matchups, but I think it's a little specific. Your opponent can bump it, but it is good. It stops your opponent from knocking out your bench Pokemon a lot of the time. So it's not broken by any means, or I wouldn't call it a staple. It could be played in a lot of different decks, but for the most part, I think Battle Coliseum is a decent card, not absurd, but it is seeing a lot of play. It's going to see a lot of play. So if you buy that match, you want to say it's like super good, yeah, I'm not going to sit here and argue with you. But then we have the second best card here, which is the item Heat Burner, which says you must discard a basic fire card from your hand in order to, or basic fire energy from your hand in order to use this card. You choose a tool, special energy, or stadium your opponent has in play and discard it. This is useful, allowing you to discard a lot of powerful cards from your opponent. Special energy discarding is good. We see Enhanced Hammer C play. Stadium discarding is like pretty decent. We see stadium bumps, and it's definitely an important thing. And then also tool bumping is also nice. We see like Tool Scrapper and Tool Jammer. This card isn't absurdly good or anything like that. I mean, it is honestly absurdly good if you didn't have to discard the fire energy. It's still good despite the fact that you have to do it. Heat Burner's seen play in a good chunk of different decks. Obviously, you need to be playing fire energy or find a way to put fire energy into a deck, but overall, that's not too bad to do. Again, it can be played in a wide variety of different decks. I think it's a cool little card here, allowing you to counter a lot of different things. You can put Fire Energy in a bunch of different decks. Unlike with Fire Breather, you don't need a ton, though you need some, or you need some way to search it out as well or recover it. But I think that's pretty doable. Earthen Vessel and Night Stretcher are pretty good cards, so this is a card I really like. Honestly, I'm a big fan of this one. I think it's going to see a bunch of play. I don't think it's crazy good. Again, kind of like Battle Coliseum, it's somewhat situational. This one I'd say is a little more universal, though. Most decks have something you can go after with this card, but for the most part, it's decent, not absurd, but it is also really fun in my opinion. But then we have the best card in the set. I don't think there's too much debate. It's honestly kind of boring here, but it is Dawn, which is a supporter here, letting you search your deck for basic stage 1 and stage 2 and reveal and put them into your hand here. Yeah, that's good. Those cards are good. Basic is always good. Stage 1 is commonly good. Stage 2 is a little more situational, but still very good. Obviously, you play this in a Stage 2 deck. There's a bunch of Stage 2 decks. It's pretty much good in all of them. You can compare it to Brock Scouting or Jack or something like that, and those cards are okay. I think Dawn's going to be a little bit better than them. It's not an absurdly good card, but it's definitely a decent supporter. Pretty versatile. Not like the most universal card we've ever seen, but it's pretty good here. But tell me down below in the comment section what your thoughts are on the new set. If you think it's good, if you think it's bad, if you think I missed anything, or if you think these cards at the top are super good. But I hope you enjoyed. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit the bell, all the good stuff. And as Osmond said, see you in the next video.